How is you, Nicolette? Before
How
I
is
say
how is you? I is very well. How is you?
I is very well too. We haven't had a chance to even debrief. We just sort of jumped on, which is
Yeah,
um,
normally we have a bit of a chat and
yeah, that's right.
uh,
So
we can do that as we go.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. I had some time with my daughter on the weekend, which was nice because we haven't seen each other for ages. So
That's beautiful.
just really quickly, hello to everyone that's watching. And if you're new to watching us or you haven't done so yet, there's a link in the chat. And if you jump on that link and tap it, you will be able to register. So we actually get to see who we're talking to when you make a comment. So because we're in Restream, you don't see that unless you register your name in it. So there you go.
Cool. So today we're talking about the law of attraction.
We are. We're talking about the law of attraction. Um, I just thought it's one of those things that so many of us talk about, and I thought it'd be nice to actually just debrief about it,
Mm.
and what it means, and is it working for you, and all of that jazz. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's actually perfect timing for me to talk about this because do you mind if I share what the law of attraction means to me?
Sure.
Okay, so the law of attraction to me means that whatever vibration I'm operating at or focusing on being in is what I will attract. So, or like attracts like is basically what it means. And in the last couple of months, I've caught myself in negative thought patterns a lot. Like I've done a lot of work in the past on daily gratitude practice and all of those kinds of things to shift myself from waking up in the morning feeling doom and gloom to waking up in the morning with joy and gratitude. And I realized in the last couple of months I had slipped back into that old habit of waking up and then your mind goes automatically into the worries and the negative things to focus on, and the body responds, and then your energy field sends that out, and then you end up having a crappy day or a crappy week or a crappy month because that's what you're sending out into the universe to be reflected back to you, right? So particularly in the last couple of weeks, I have been, every time I have that negative thought, whether it's first thing in the morning or any time, I shift my focus to, okay, what am I grateful for, or what is the silver lining in this particular situation, and shifting myself back into a higher vibrational focus, because I know that that will improve my day, my week, my month, and attract that back, rather than because what you expect, you also is reflected in your reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what it means to me, and that's been my current experience with managing it, I guess.
And how have you noticed a difference? Like what was coming to you when you were in that negative space, and now that you've flipped it, what's happening now? What's manifesting? Have you noticed?
Yeah. So I was sitting in a lot of resentment and anger, and I've really shifted that, and what has come about is reconnecting with old friends from many years ago, and people contacting me out of the blue, who have been very dear to me, but we've fallen out of contact, or um, yeah, and in my day-to-day connections with my family and my closest loved ones, finding so much more joy in in
Every
every
moment.
moment. Yeah. So I know that what I'm putting out is much higher vibration, and what I'm so because I'm seeing it in what I'm receiving back from the universe. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's really, I want to highlight that even when we've done 20 years of spiritual work on ourselves, it's really, really easy to slip back into lower vibe operational baseline.
Yeah. Can I give my 2 cents why?
Yeah. Go. Give you 10 cents.
So, one of the things about law of attraction, and one of the reasons I think that it doesn't seem to work all the way, like the way people think it's going to work for them, is that our subconscious mind has had all this this programming from generations and generations, and so you've got your subconscious mind, which is patterns and repetition, and then on top of that you've got all this genetic material, DNA, past lives, other timelines, all these different layers that before you even came into being Elizabeth and Nicolette and Helen and whoever you want to identify as the individual, you had all this stuff on top of that, right? So law of attraction is something that, like, I've been into law of attraction. Like, you guys, do you know Esther and Jerry Hicks?
Yep.
Yes. Like, of course Jerry's gone now, but I really followed them for a long time when I discovered I did a law of attraction process of my own before I understood law of attraction, and before I found Esther and Jerry Hicks, and was like, oh my gosh, there's other people doing what I'm doing, right? Or what I did, because I did it and then I got lazy and didn't do it again, right? I'm like, yeah, wait a minute, I just paid all these bills off, like, why am I being lazy with this, right? And so it's because our subconscious has got all this information and wants us to stay the same, right? Because it feels like the subconscious is there to create survival, and so when we're staying the same, it feels like it's going to stay safe and we're going to survive and blah blah blah. And so our conscious is constantly going, well, let's change, let's grow, let's expand, let's be creative, and let's be more. And then our subconscious is going, no, wait, be this, it's safe here, it's safe here.
Don't change, it's scary.
Don't change. So there's this conflict, right, between the two. And so you're in this process of, I'm going to create this, and then if something happens, like you had an incident or something went down in your world, the subconscious takes a nice deep breath in. Wait a minute, remember, you're not good enough for this, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, the subconscious goes, see?
Come back over here where it's nice and safe. It's warm over here. I'll hold your hand. It's okay. And so then you get stuck in this thing, and then you go into a guilt cycle because, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be creating, I'm supposed to be doing blah, blah, blah. So there's this guilt. I'm not as good as I thought I was. I don't know how to do this. I'm incapable of it. I'm insignificant, all of those things, right? And so there's this tug of war between the two. And so it really is getting out of that structure into, clearing all that old material so that you can step into, actually, I'm a creative genius.
Yeah.
All of that is irrelevant. I'm a creative genius, and I can put my finger in the pie of creation and just swirl it around.
And can I just add in there, I feel like we create resistance also by saying, okay, this is what I want, this is exactly what I want, and this is how I want it to play out. And then when things don't evolve the exact way that we want them to, we resist it, because that's changing what we're going for as well, right? But
yeah,
the universe knows that there's there's other ways and other sequences and other, you know, zigzags that have to happen for the outcome that we want. So we have to surrender as well to the process of how things are going to evolve. Right?
And that sometimes it doesn't look exactly like you had in your head,
Yeah.
because we're coming from that place of being the individual, right? And
Yeah.
so we're not God, we're not source energy in this frame, like
Mhm.
here as an individual. We are separated. We are little, Elizabeth, little
Well,
Nicolette.
what we can see and
Yeah,
tap into is a small part of the whole. Like
yeah,
we're part of it, and we can feel it all and tap into it all and all. But you know, I don't want to put limitations to talk about because we're not limited. But yeah, we have to surrender into the fact that there is a greater plan and um, yeah, and relax into that.
yeah. Because we might have an idea of what it is, and it might be way more expansive than that. It might be bigger than what we have the capacity to understand, or it might, yeah, be look different. Like a painter that's painting, like has a canvas, you would know this, right? Like,
Yep.
so when you're painting, you might have an idea of what it is you're going to paint, but I bet your painting at the end hardly ever looks exactly how you thought it was going to be,
Never,
right?
never.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But the only way to create a masterpiece is to um, relax into what needs to happen in the moment. So, and go with the nudges and the, oh, use this color or move your hand this way and although you've got the overall where you're headed with it, if you're too focused on that, you will stress out about what you're doing in the moment, what brush you're picking up, and what color.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah. You start thinking instead of creating.
yeah?
I never thought, like, yeah, you start thinking, and you're thinking from that limited part of yourself
Mm,
instead of allowing that creative genius to come through, right?
yeah. I'd like to give us each to give examples of what we've manifested in our lives. Like I've always felt since I've been with Andrew, I've always felt that I had the image of him and the feeling that he was going to step into my life my whole life. And
Yeah,
when he turned up, it was like, oh, here you are. Like my
yeah,
whole, but I didn't know that consciously. And I wasn't like writing down lists about his characteristics but I feel I manifested him into my life by knowing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what is some examples of what you've manifested,
Created.
created?
Ah, heaps and heaps. I've got a thing with cars and houses. Um,
Yeah.
but the very first time this is when I had just woken up spiritually and was single mom living up in far north Queensland, and all these bills came in, and I had no way of paying them. I was massaging at the time. My computer broke down, and I was normally just putting a notice on the notice board, right? So that's right at the very start of when I was massaging. I look back, I've told this story 100 times, and I look back now and I think, why didn't I just write it with a piece of paper, like in a pen or something, but I didn't think of that at the time. I'm like, I can't advertise. So I'm on the phone to a girlfriend who says to me, why don't you just, I'm like, how can I've got, hundreds of dollars of bills coming in, I can't pay them. And she said, well, why don't you just imagine you're debt free, right? Now, when people talk about law of attraction and affirmations and stuff, that's not one of the ways to they say don't say something like debt free, because then you're talking about the debt.
Yeah.
It worked for me. I
Yeah.
have this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm debt free. Like I start, oh my gosh, I'm feeling debt free, and I have all this feeling about feeling debt free, and then I go into what am I going to buy now that I'm debt free. So I have to remember to come back to just feeling debt free, debt free, debt free. And I was doing it like all day, like, oh, I'm feeling debt free and going, into this bliss of feeling debt free. And I remember saying to my mum, even if it doesn't work, it just feels so good, right?
Mm.
So just say that was on the Monday. I Like there's all these things in between, like like was constantly up and down, having to think about it on a regular basis, stay up high. Then I had to think about my, feeling worthy, and all this other stuff came up that I had to release and clear. And anyway, it starts getting easier. I'm up here more than I was,
Mm-hmm.
feeling the debt and the doubt and everything. So just say that started on the Monday. On the Thursday, I got a phone call from the local hairdresser, and she says, "There's a new manager at the bed and breakfast around the corner from you, and she's just come in to get a haircut, stressing out because there's 4 people coming in from England, and they've all booked a massage, and she hasn't got a massage therapist. They're coming in tonight. Will you be able to do it tomorrow?" And I said, "Yes, I can." They were big people, right? 4 people, 4 hours. They got 4 massages while they were um, in that room.
Yep.
All of them got 4 massages, so that's four times a day. And then when they left, there was two, a husband and wife,
Yep.
and they had 2 massages, and I just wiped out my bills like bang within the week, and nothing else had changed except for the way I changed my consciousness. So,
Mm.
but the same with cars and houses. I went from Oleander Street to Oleander Drive. Um,
Mm.
I was moved into a house down here that um, everything was the same as where my brother is living. So I was in Kingswood, he's in Springwood, the same street name, the same number. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then a couple of weeks later, his wife had to have an emergency cesarean, and she was able to be discharged from the hospital, but the baby wasn't.
Mm.
And she lived 40 minutes away from the hospital, and I lived walking distance.
Yep.
So she was able to stay at my house and go up and breastfeed the baby. So, and I thought, oh, that's why all the numbers and the
Mm.
streets and everything were the same. So
Yeah.
same with cars. I won't go any further because like I just have some crazy, crazy stuff when it comes to all of that.
I want to highlight as well the people that you surround yourself with. They change your belief system about what's possible. They can change, well, they do change your belief system about what's possible, either negatively or positively. So, in the last 12 months, my ability to sell my artwork has skyrocketed. Like, I sold a painting for $2,500, and that was a couple of years ago, I would have not believed you if you said that was going to be the case, right? But by hanging out with another artist who was selling artwork at that level,
Yeah.
and yeah, that made it possible for me, made it seem possible for me, and then feeling like I am at the same level as he was. All of a sudden, I post my artwork all the time, and I do stories about what's hanging in my gallery and everything. And this lady messaged me and said, "Is this one for sale?" Screenshotted the video and said, "Is this one for sale?" And I said, "Yes, it's $2,500." And she said, "I'll pay a deposit this afternoon." And I was like, "What?" And now, like when I'm manifesting where my next levels are as an artist, I'm dreaming of or being sitting in the feeling of selling an artwork for $10,000. So I'm imagining, really, really beautiful big artwork that's taken me quite a long time to complete. and I actually sit with the visualization of the exchange of someone walking into my gallery, or and seeing it and wanting it and taking it home that day, and what that will feel like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my belief system is what will make that transpire.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's because we live in a society of duality, right? We live in just these two, conscious and unconscious, change and don't change and don't change. If we can step, excuse me, if we can step out of that into the field of all possibilities
Mm,
and create from there, and just know that all we've got to do is create from that place.
mm,
There is other stuff that needs, like it needs to be cleared. The subconscious needs to be cleared, so it's not um, holding us back, and we're going back into that, which is what you were saying at the start. Like, if you don't clear that stuff, you're ultimately going to go back there.
yeah.
So it's having to clear it so that you can. But once you're in the field, we are like quantum physics talks about. Like, that we're consciously creating. Like,
Yeah.
if you're focusing on something, you're a particle, you're focusing on that. If you're not focusing on it, it's a wave of possibilities.
Energy becomes matter.
Yes.
So when you're learning how to direct your energy, and when you're releasing what's holding you back vibrationally,
Yeah.
then what happens in your physical world, what gets created in your physical world, is created by where you're sending your energy. Like, intention is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah. And so yeah, it's really interesting, because from what I know now compared to when I was doing just law of attraction, like, no wonder it doesn't work as well at, like, there's so many people that it works for, but they get little wins, right, instead of the really
mm.
big ones of living the life they love and being able to sell that $10,000 painting or whatever. It's being able to clear the generational history that's there as well.
Can I just say thank you so much? Helen's typing out our little gold nuggets here. She said thinking versus creating, and then she's just said energy becomes matter.
Better. Yeah, thank you, Helen. It's so lovely to have you on. Yeah, it's so true, right? It's being able to stay in that possibility, so that and clear all the stuff that's in the cells that's pulling you back into the limitation, because
Mm,
the subconscious really wants us to stay safe, right? So
yep,
yeah, it's it's exciting stuff when you really know how to play in the field completely. It's exciting what you can create.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think patience and time, because I am a very can be a very impatient person, and so when something takes longer than I believe it should, I get frustrated, and then that pulls down my energy focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Frustration rather than creating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the beauty when you keep a focus, and then you see it play out. Like, for example, I've been talking about creating boulder opal pendulums for months, right? You've heard me talk about it, and within that time, mum and dad have had a massive opal find. That's taken a while for that package of opal to be sorted through, and all of those kinds of things. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the opal cutter in Brisbane, and Dad's brought down a whole lot more extra opal that's going to be cut, and I've told him exactly what I want, and we've had a big discussion about it, and like, it's finally happening.
Woohoo.
But it needed to be at the right time. Like, I needed to find the right opal cutter. Mum and Dad needed to find the right opal for it. Like, I need
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
jeweler in Toowoomba here that can put the chains on the pendulums, and he's a beautiful friend of mum and dad's as well. So he's really happy to be working with me on on the project, and all of these things are just slotting into place in this beautiful flow. Nicolette 12 months ago would have been so frustrated that
Yeah.
happened 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I started really talking about it, right?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, this is why I had to wait a bit,
Yeah.
because it's all the right people and the right.
Absolutely. And the other part of creating is that we've got to be totally comfortable with the fact that we'll always be in that state of creation.
Mm,
Like, yes, you create and then you get the result, and then you create and you get the result. But once you get the result, you're going into another creation.
yeah.
And so, we've it's been in that constant tension
Mm.
between the two, knowing that you're creating all the time.
And finding the beauty in the tension instead of the frustration, like that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
it doesn't help.
No, no, it doesn't. Absolutely. So, Nicolette, what have you got going on?
Okay, well, I have a gallery opening in Toowoomba here on the 24th of September.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, so I'm working really hard on filling my walls, which are already full, but
Yeah.
I'm packing it out. So I'll put the details of that, and of course, I'll be doing a live and all those kinds of things, but it is an in-person event, and the other thing that I've got coming up is my fourth deck of cards. So I have a podcast with heaps of meditations on it. I don't even know how many, we haven't counted yet. With my singing bowls and me leading healing meditations that has been documented over the last 2 years. And my current artworks I'm putting into a deck of meditation cards. So you will pull a card and it'll have an artwork on one side, but it'll have a QR code on the other, and that will go straight to a meditation for you to do that day from that list. So I'm super excited about that project, and you can pre-order that deck of cards. I'll put the link for the pre-order in there. I'm hoping to have it out by the end of October. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really exciting.
Yeah, so I'm super
like that
excited. Those are my two focuses
doing
at the moment.
Well, doing the QR code, that's really,
Well,
really
everyone's so used to it now, right?
yeah, yeah.
Thank you, COVID.
Cool. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, what have I got on? Actually, I have a meetup on with Women of Light meetup Sydney and Cairns. It's online, and we're going to be talking about past lives, and it's on in 3 days' time actually. So we'll do a group past life as well, regression, and also
Highly recommend the group regression, by the way.
yeah.
It was
Yeah, do you remember that there was actually well, it's happened more than once, but there was a woman that I remember out of your group that I won't mention names, but she hadn't been bleeding for years or something, or months. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember that through the meditation, something about being a woman, and she started bleeding, like
yeah.
yeah, because she'd been needing to, like
Yeah.
it wasn't that she didn't want to bleed, it was because she did want to bleed, and then
Yeah.
after meditation it started again.
Shifted the energy, whatever was blocked there.
Blocking that, yeah.
Cycle.
Yeah, so someone will actually also win a one-on-one past life regression as part of that. I'm doing with COVID and the way.
Also highly recommend, everyone. That's a fantastic prize.
With the lockdown, I just gone, you know what? I'm giving out an IRS, which is it's not anything to do with America. It's intuitive reconnection session, a past life regression, and I've got all these things, all these exciting things that I'm going to be doing as mystery
cool.
therapist as well, and a beautiful Australian sage stick, and yeah, just thought I'd do a crazy
Giveaway.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. So that's me. That's on Wednesday. I'll get the girls to put the link in here, and that's we'll both have our links, and we better get off. We've got something
Yeah.
else we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Have a
Right.
wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah. Take care. See ya.
Bye.